Well, hey, my people, how are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a super fantastic week. So listen, I've been told by the Most High that it is time for me to actually share some things about myself with those who have seen the Most High's light in me and they have chosen to follow me in order to gain more clarification on their chosen pathway and how to move about their pathway in a very sufficient way, right? And so, because I'm the type of person, I don't like to share certain things about me because growing up, I was always told, hey, what happens in this house stays in this house, right? So I essentially always learned, hey, just be quiet. Okay, people don't need to know what's really going on. It's okay. We'll cover it up. We'll say this, we'll say that, right? So I grew up believing, in a sense, right, that not talking about stuff, right, was a way that you would show loyalty, right, to the people that you so-called cared about. Well, here's the deal, okay? If you want to know anything about me, I'll just tell you a quick synopsis of what has been going on with me. Now, there's a lot of people, right, who were in my so-called family, okay? And I'm saying so-called because there's a lot to that story, and I'll explain that in just a second, okay? So, they had no idea why it was that I had cut a lot of people off, and I stopped associating with them completely, right? And they went back, and these are my siblings, so-called siblings, right? They went back and told so many vicious lies about me. Anything to make them look like they're the savior, anything to make them look like they're innocent, anything to make them look like they're so holy, right? Because in our house, it was always about, well, what does it look like to the people on the outside, right? And here's the real deal. In my household growing up, there was lots of physical abuse. There was sexual abuse, okay? There was mental abuse. It was horrible in that house. I was constantly being mistreated, constantly being neglected, constantly being bullied, constantly being told by my father figure that I was not his child. I was never somebody he would ever consider loving as a daughter. I was told so many horrible things in that house. And even though it would totally break me, right? And I would try to go to people for help. I would try to go and tell them what was going on. I could not find anybody to help support me. I felt like I was in it by myself. And so I would always just go within and I would seek out the Most High and I would ask the Most High, please help me. Please help me get away from these people. I don't understand what's going on, right? So my childhood was very abusive. And because my family, like the father figure I had, right? He was a Mason, right? My siblings are Masons. They were Masons, okay? Um, they had some sense of organizing things to happen to make it look like, it wasn't what it was. And when I would ask them, well, why are y'all leaving me out? Well, why is it that you guys are privy to information, but y'all are refusing to tell me anything? And they would you just don't need to know. You just don't need to know, right? So even when things were happening to me, like one of the worst things that happened to me growing up, before I could even come back and tell them, they already had knowledge of it. They already knew. They always already knew horrible things that happened to me before I would even confess it, before I would even tell it. This is the kind of household that I lived in. Um, when I was little, right, I would be shown pictures of a baby, right? And I was told, well, this is you. You're a twin. And I would look at the picture and I would be like, I don't feel me in that. And I would always wonder, like, who is that? That's not me. And I would never feel connected. Like none of the stories I was told, they don't line up with the pictures that I've seen. They don't line up with the stories I've been told. Like none of this stuff was lining up. Okay. One day before my father passed away, or my father figure, because he's not my father, My father figure, before he passed away, I went to his house, right? This is when he was married to his second wife. I went to his house and I asked him, I was like, why is it that you never loved me? Why did you always shove me away from you? Why did you mistreat me? Why are you telling people I'm not your child and I'm a twin? And he was like, well, yeah, your twin, your brother, that's my son. He was like, you're not my child. And I was like, what? He was like, you're not my child. You are not my daughter. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not your daughter? And of course, I'm thinking, here he goes, just trying to be hateful again, like whatever. And he was like, if I told you, he was like, you still would not understand. He was like, Nicole, you are not my daughter. And I remember I was so hurt. I cried. I ran out the house. This is as an adult. I was just pissed off, right? And so I kept it to myself because I was like, maybe he's just mad because I prophesied and I told him, I was like, hey, you're getting ready to pass. Because even as a child, guys, I had gifts. I've always had gifts. As a child, my mother figure would take me to go get readings done on me and tell me to be quiet. She would have people prophesy over me and tell them all of the things that I was going to do. And then she would turn around and use Bible scriptures and get my sibling to use Bible scriptures to kind of force me to go back into a box so I wouldn't go back and expose and say stuff, because they knew that there was going to be a day and a time where their secrets were no longer going to be hidden. And that is what they were trying to prevent. All of this stuff that they did was to keep me from telling people who they really are. And the truth of the matter is, they love to do stuff in the dark. They are not honest people. They are devious liars, and they go out of their way to hide the truth so that it always looks nice and neat on the outside. That is the household I grew up in. Those are the type of siblings that I have. That is the family that I was so-called born into, okay? So, to make a long story short, none of the stories that I was told about how I grew up, how I got here, none of that stuff added up. Even when I had my twin girls, right? I went to the specialist. I told them about my story. I told them all the things that I was told. And the specialists were just like, that's not scientifically possible. They were like, we're looking at your blood work. We are going through your genetic sequencing. You're not a twin. And anybody who knows my story about how I had my twins, this should make sense because you know the method in which I had them, okay? Now, I did not say anything. I did not say anything because the mother figure I had was already passing away. I kept it to myself, okay? Now, when this mother figure passed away, there was a sense of freedom for me because now I'm able to really go within and seek out the Most High to get more answers about what was really going on with me. Well, the Most High started showing me stuff. I started seeing things. I started understanding things. My gifts started kicking in. And I was just like, okay, so this is what's going on. Well, I got genetically tested. I invested in myself and I got tested. I found out that I am Nigerian and Kenyan, okay? Genetically, okay, I don't have any siblings here in this area, okay? My relatives are all in different states, not where I reside, okay? And this lines up with a story that my father figure's dad told me when I was little. He told me that that wasn't my family. I just never said anything because I was taught to always be quiet, right? So if you're wondering why it was, and this is for my so-called relatives, why I cut so many people off, is because y'all all knew that I was not a part of this family. And y'all lied. A lot of y'all told stories on me. You lied about me to people. You tried to destroy my life because you did not want me to reveal the family secrets. Well, this is one thing that I'm going to reveal, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. You guys knew that I was not a part of your family, and you hid it from me. And you did vicious stuff to keep me quiet. So there you go. For my followers, this is just some of the information I wanted to share. Okay, bye.